welcome back. Last time we set this board up and we fixed a few bugs, but this board doesn't really work. The piece just kind of spins around. It goes, and then it wins. So what we want to happen, let me get roll for first out of the way, is for the piece to go boop, 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 stop, and let the user pick which direction it's going to go. So we need to be able to know that this is where we want the split, right? Let's add it to our enum. It's been forever since we've been in the enums. It's good old direction.gd. We have regular forward back question. All looks familiar, right? I'm going to call this crossroad. If I can spell it. Nailed it. Now let's go back to main 3. It looks like start 5 is going to be our crossroad, so I'm going to set that in the... I don't know why, but you have to reset Godot if you do that to get the option in the inspector. I'll be right back. Okay. Now we said it was start 5, right? Yes. Start 5. Direction. There it is. Crossroad. Save. Did it. So we need the little piece to stop at the crossroad. We need the little piece to let the user pick something. We need to know what the user picked, and we need to send that on to main so main knows which path to send us down. That's a lot. Okay. Let's work on stopping the piece first. Let's do that. Right now, this has got main.gd. And that's cool. But I want to add to this script. I can hammer on this. But I'm going to install some code that main 2 and main 1 don't really need. And I'm going to right click on main 3 and I'm going to extend the script. I'm going to call it main with crossroads. Just in case, like, board 4 has a crossroad, board 7 has a crossroad, just in case. Delete it out, and you'll notice Godot has so helpfully put in here, extends main.gd. That means it's taken all that code, and it knows it's supposed to run all of that. This will actually run exactly the same. Watch. Oh, wait, it would if I turned roll for first on. See, it still works. I can roll, I can go, pink piece will move. Come back into actual main.gd. This function on dice has rolled. Well, let me show you. Just trust for a moment and copy it to your clipboard. Yes, the whole thing. Oh, I don't need it. Can't move. Now come back into main with crossroads. Under normal circumstances, if I am extending a script and I want to add on to a function, just play pretend that we're going to do ready. I can call a function called super, and it'll call all the rest of ready and then do whatever else I tell it. So it'll do everything that ready says, and then it'll also print, wow, this got added. Your first instinct is going to be to, what was it called? On dice has rolled, super, and then do a bunch of stuff. We're going to hard code some stuff into this that I don't think is going to be possible with super. So we're going to paste that whole function in. And now not only do we have this to toy with as we want, if I make a mistake in this, it doesn't populate out to 1 or 2 because 1 or 2 does not inherit this code. Anyway, we've got to make gamespaces.direction do something when it hits the crossroad. And it looks like we already know how to do that. Let's roll. if game spaces piece dot place dot direction double equals direction dot which way dot crossroad. Make it print something. Save. Roll, I believe, should equal 4. Remember, we're going to uncomment this line for testing. We're just going to have roll be 4. And then let's run the scene. Let's see if we can make it print crossroad. You'll notice it's running our old ready because it's telling us how many spots are in the array. Done. Okay. This is fine if the user rolls 4 and you want them to only get the crossroad if they roll 4. What if they roll past the crossroad? Doesn't work. See, the piece blows past it. It didn't even print crossroad if you were watching down here. What's going on is while roll equals 0, do all this. If roll equals 0, start checking these things. So it's really only looking to see if we're at the crossroad if roll equals 0. A better place for this. I want it to stop, like, whether or not, well, roll probably will not equal 0, and then we'll hit the crossroad. So a much better place for this is roll -1. I'm gonna take this line out. We know this is working. Uh-oh, I need to indent. While roll doesn't equal 0, I need you to check and see whether or not it's at a crossroad. Okay, it printed it. It didn't stop, but it did print it. Let's do this. To stop the piece, just set roll equals to 0. See if that stops it. Uh-oh, hold on, I'm in the wrong one. I should have clicked the clapboard. So instead of coming up here to red, it's going to stop right there on the blue. Okay, so it did stop. We got that far. We got a couple of problems to solve, don't we? Let's solve this one first. First of all, my beautiful vision is for the piece to stop here. Let's say it gets a 14. It doesn't really matter. It would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the user picks up or down, and then it goes 6, 7, 8, 9, or whatever, or 6, 7, 8, 9. So really, we need to store, we're taking 1 off of roll each time. We need to store that number somehow, probably in a variable. Come up to the very top and declare var old roll, make it an int. Let old roll kind of stash whatever we had. And then it'll still stop, so that's fine. Just for safety, I have this in my notes, but I actually don't remember why, so let's just do it. Let's set can clip to false. Now we want a box to come up, right? To make the user choose. let's do that. New scene with the little plus sign. I'm going to go kind of quicksies because we've done 100 of these at this point. The root, I'm going to change it to a center container. Help if I was in 2D view, wouldn't it? It's at a panel container. Give us a nice background. I'm not convinced that's a panel container. So I'm going to right click it and change the type to panel container. Thank you. Add a margin container. And then as a child of that, an HBox container. Nope, that is a VBox container. I have that labeled wrong. Speaking of labels, we need one. And we need 2 buttons. All 3 of these as a child of VBox container. I want them in the order button, label, button. Nailed it. On the root, I'm going to theme it. Click on theme. You know I love my quick load. Okay, well that looks like something. The labels text, I'm going to say which way. You could type up and then type down. I'm going to go hold type. Just for fun, Godot does support Unicode arrows if your font supports Unicode arrows, and ours does, or at least mine does. I'm going to pick out something good. I don't know what I want. Those are kind of cool. We were going sideways, but we're going up and down. Oh, I want something big. That looks pretty big. So I'm going to copy you. I'm going to paste you in. And you're going to be up. Nice. Let me come back. There's down. I'm going to copy him. Down. Saves us a little bit of time in Aseprite, doesn't it? I'm going to actually even call this button up. And this button down. Let's add a script to our root here. Let me call this. We're going to call it direction picture. Direction picker. Direction picker. Oops. Don't create a new node. Just save. And script. There's a script on there. Direct picker. Don't do too much to it yet. All I really want are these signals connected. So I'm going to click on up, go to node, on button pressed, connect it. Go to down, on button pressed, connect it. All right, so board game goes. A little guy goes beep, 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 beep. He comes here and it comes up and it says, which way do you want to go? And they pick something. And then we've got to tell main what got picked and which way we're going. Obviously, if on up pressed, do something, right? Go up. If on down pressed, go down. I'll tell down and up press which way. Which is in out of oven. I love that meme. I'm so sorry. There's a lot of ways you could do this. Obviously, we're probably going to use a signal because this is Godot. But what's the signal going to say? It could send a string. It could send a float. It could send a lot of different things. I'm going to do this with an enum. Just makes your code a little bit more readable. Fast, flexible, amazing. I'm going to come into direction.gd and I'm going to make another set of enums. I'm allowed to do that. I call it user picked direction. Squiggle bracket, open it up. Right now we can only go up and down. Your game, you might have left, right, I don't know, you could do a cardinal. North, west, south, east. This system is flexible, so you can add on to it. And another nice thing about it is because enums are really good, remember, for definitions that don't change. Up's always going to be up and down's always going to be down unless something just completely wild happens. Got that done. Okay. We got to make a signal, right? All right. Because this is one scene that's got to talk to another scene, I'm going to do this in events, which is global, so that everybody can play with the signal. I'm going to call it signal. Godot's going to call it signal. I'm going to call it picked direction. Because the user picked a direction, and we're going to send with it that direction. So, come back to the direction picker. Come back to the script. If the user presses up, we're going to emit that signal, and we're going to say up. So, got to talk to events to get to the signal. Emit signal. It's sitting there looking at me. Picked direction. And we're going to send that enum. So we got to start with class name, enum name, and we want up. Then we want the box to go away. Q free, or good old go away. Now on down, you're never going to guess what we're going to do. Probably about the same thing. We emitted picked direction, except this time, you're never going to guess. And then we want you to go away. Okay. This is working. Let's come back to main 3. We want this to pop up, right? When we hit here, we want the direction picker to come up into view. And we already know how to do that. If you look down at the question box code, there it is. Good old load it, instance it, add it, and this technically positions it. Here we loaded it in the script because we wanted it to shuffle every time. Because we know the direction picker isn't going to change unless you're doing something wild in your game, I'm going to load it up at the beginning. So, export var direction picker, and it is a packed scene according to Godot. There it is. Now I suppose mine doesn't change, but yours actually may change, like if you want your user to go left and right or whichever it is. Anyway, I'm going to set that up in the inspector. I've got it empty right there. I've got to find directionpicker.tscn. Bam, it's loaded. Instance it. We have to make a specific instance of it. Actually, let me even comment that. Var direction. So that we don't get confused, I'm going to call this variable direction box. Direction picker. Why can't I talk today? Dot instantiate, not can instantiate. So Godot, please make me an instance of that. We have to add it to our scene tree. Yeah, we want it to be a member of the canvas layer. We want to add child, and we want our direction box. And again, in my notes, I'm actually just not totally sure this is necessary, but in my notes I have it, so let's do that. All right, let's see what terrors we've wrought. We should be able to get the piece to stop. We should be able to pick something. It won't do much else, but let's see if we've gotten this far without crashing. That's usually a pretty good idea. All right. It does work. It does work. All right, so as is, this tutorial is really long, and you know I hate long tutorials, so I'm going to cut this here. I know it doesn't work. We'll make it work more next time. This is just going to take a few parts. I will see you next time, and I hope you enjoy your week and have an excellent one. Hey, real quick before you scoot, I am on buymeacoffee.com. It's kind of like Ko-Fi and Patreon together. If you found this video helpful or useful, I would appreciate you coming over here and checking this out. If you are willing or able, you can donate on this page.